Hello, Swatantra viewers. Welcome to English News Bulletin. I am Mahima, bringing you the latest updates. Espousing the importance of implementing constitutional morality in Indian jurisprudence, Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud on Saturday insisted on the commitment of courts to ensure diversity, inclusion, and tolerance. Speaking at the inaugural session of the two-day East Zone to Regional Conference of the National Judicial Academy, the Chief Justice of India also focused on the importance of technological advancements in the justice delivery system. Justice Chandrachud elaborated on the notion of constitutional morality as a restraining factor on the state that should derive from the preambular values of the Constitution. Underlining the country's federal structure that's marked by a great deal of diversity, he focused on the role of judges in preserving the diversity of India. Calling judges servants and not masters of the Constitution, the Chief Justice warned the judiciary of the pitfalls of personal values and belief systems of judges interfering with judgments that are opposed to values enshrined in the Constitution. While speaking on the need for technological assistance in ensuring the effective delivery of justice to citizens, the CJI said, "The idea is to not modernize for the sake of modernization. It is a step to aid something else the judiciary wants to achieve." Justice Chandrachud spoke of AI-assisted software aiding the work in progress to translate the 37,000-odd Supreme Court judgments delivered since independence from English into all constitution-recognized regional languages. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Saturday called for a judiciary free of any political bias, maintaining that it should be absolutely pure and honest. Banerjee also said the judiciary is the big pillar of India's foundation to save democracy, the constitution, and people's interests. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud and Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court T.S. Sivagnanam were among those present at the program. The judiciary is an important temple for people and the supreme authority for delivering justice, Banerjee said. It is like a mandir, masjid, gurudwara and church. The judiciary is of the people, by the people and for the people and the last frontier for getting justice and upholding constitutional rights, she said. Alleging that people from the Northeast and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, from where judges and judicial officers are participating in the conference, are neglected, she urged that they be given bigger opportunities. Hailing Chief Justice of India Chandrachud for initiating digitization and e-laws in courts, Banerjee asserted that West Bengal is number one among all states in e-governance. The Chief Minister said her government has spent 1,000 crore rupees for development of judicial infrastructure in the state and provided land for a new High Court complex in Rajrahat New Town. Stating that 88 fast-track courts are functioning in the state, Banerjee said earlier, the central government provided assistance for setting up these courts, but the provision has been withdrawn since the last 7 to 8 years. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh on Saturday slammed Prime Minister Narendra Modi over a news report that the Adani Group has selected 8 Chinese companies to help its solar manufacturing project and called for a strategy to wean India of its dependence on China. He said it has to be ensured that the taxpayers' money does not benefit Chinese companies. In a post on X, Ramesh said the non-biological Prime Minister infamously told the nation on 19 June in 2020, after the Galwan clashes, that neither has anyone entered Indian borders, nor has anyone occupied territories. However, He shows no hesitation in liberally issuing visas to Chinese workers to help one of his temp-over Lah buddies, he said in the post on X while tagging with it a newspaper report about Adani Solar seeking centers not to bring a few engineers from China. The Adani Group, a major recipient of taxpayer largesse via the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, has reportedly selected 8 Chinese companies to help its solar manufacturing project and has asked for special permission to issue visas for 30 Chinese workers, Ramesh wrote on the social media platform. Conducting searches at 7 locations in Gujarat in the NETUG paper leak case, officials said on Saturday. They said the operation began in the morning at the premises of suspects spread across 4 districts, such as Anand, Kada, Ahmedabad and Godhra. The CBI on Friday arrested the principal and the vice principal of a school in Jharkhand's Hazaribagh and a journalist of a Hindi newspaper in connection with the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test undergraduate paper leak, officials had said. Ehsanul Haq, the principal of Oasis School, was made the city coordinator of Hazaribagh for the medical entrance exam conducted by the National Testing Agency on 5th May, they said. Vice Principal Imtiaz Alam was designated as the NTA's observer and the center coordinator for Oasis School, the officials said, adding that the CBI was also questioning 5 more people from the district in connection with the leak. Jamaluddin Ansari, the journalist, was arrested for allegedly trying to help the principal and the vice principal, the officials said on Saturday. The CBI has registered 6 FIRs in the NETUG paper leak case, which include its own FIR on a reference from the Union Education Ministry and 5 from the states where it took over the investigation. The probe agency has taken over 1 case each in Bihar and Gujarat and 3 in Rajasthan. NETUG is conducted by the NTA for admissions to MBBS, BDS, Ayush and other related courses in government and private institutions. This year's exam was conducted on 5th May at 4,750 centers in 571 cities, including 14 abroad. More than 23 lakh candidates had appeared for the test. The Janata Dal United, one of the BJP-led NDA's main allies, made it clear on Saturday that it still insists on the demand for special category status for Bihar. It could have surprised the NDA government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It may provoke TDP, another main ally of the BJP-led NDA, to demand that special category status be granted to Andhra Pradesh. The BJP-led NDA government did not grant a special category to Andhra Pradesh, though the Congress-led UPA government incorporated in Andhra Pradesh Reorganizations Act that special category status would be given to Andhra Pradesh. The Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act was announced at the time of bifurcating Andhra Pradesh into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana 10 years ago. The JDU's national executive meeting chaired by its president and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar flagged price rise and unemployment as burning issues, as its political resolution expressed confidence that the NDA government would take more effective steps to handle them. The resolution called for an extensive probe into paper leak cases to ensure stringent action against the guilty to maintain the credibility of central competitive exams. There is also a need for Parliament to enact a strong law against leaks of examination papers. The Uttar Pradesh government has suspended 6 officials of civic agencies for gross negligence following road cave-ins and waterlogging at several sections of the newly built Ram Path in Ayodhya. About 15 bylanes and streets along the Ram path were flooded after rain on 23rd June and 25th June. Even homes along the road went underwater. Portions of the 14-kilometer road stretch also caved in at more than a dozen places. Uttar Pradesh Jal Nigam Managing Director Rakesh Kumar Mishra issued the orders for the 3 engineers' suspension. The state government has also issued a notice to Ahmedabad-based contractor Bhuvan Infracom Private Limited in connection with the matter. The PWD's office order stated that the uppermost layer of the Ram path was damaged shortly after its construction, showing laxity in the work done under top priority of the Uttar Pradesh government and damaging the image of the state among common people. A further probe is underway, PWD Principal Secretary Ajay Chauhan said. Workers held a protest near the BJP's headquarters on DDU Marg to demand the release of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is currently in CBI custody. Kejriwal was arrested by the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, in connection with the Delhi government's excise policy. On 21st March, he was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case linked to the now-scrapped policy. He was granted bail by a trial court that was stayed by Delhi High Court. The protesters assembled at the AAP office close to the BJP headquarters on DDU Marg and raised slogans against the Saffron Party while demanding Kejriwal's release. They also carried placards against the misuse of central agency and for ending dictatorship. According to a senior police officer, arrangements were made to stop the protesters from marching towards the BJP headquarters since no permission was taken for the protest. Barricades have been put up and paramilitary personnel deployed at the site to stop the protesters, the officer said. If required, the protesters might be detained as Section 144 of the CRPC has already been imposed at DDU Marg, he added. Former undivided Andhra Pradesh Congress President D. Srinivas died here on Saturday, his son and Nizamabad MP D. Arvind said. He was 76. Srinivas had been unwell for the past few days, family sources said. He was the Pradesh Congress Committee President during the 2004 and 2009 Assembly and General Elections. He was also a minister in former Chief Minister Y.S. Rajshekhara Reddy's cabinet. He left Congress and became a BRS Rajya Sabha member from 2016 to 2022 and later rejoined the Grand Old Party. Chief Minister A. Revanth Reddy, Union Minister G. Kishan Reddy, Telangana ministers, and senior leaders of the Congress party expressed condolences over his demise. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu also condoled the death of Srinivas. The Chief Minister noted that Srinivas worked as a minister and MP, upholding the values he believed in. The TDP Supremo expressed sympathy to Srinivas's family members. Former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister and YSRCP Chief Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy too expressed sorrow over the senior politician's death. Recalling the association Srinivas shared with his late father Y.S. Rajshekhar Reddy, Jagan termed it unforgettable. Several leaders from the southern state also paid tribute to Srinivas.
అంచెలంచెలుగా జీవితంలో ఎదుగుతూ ఆనాటి పెద్దలు రాజారాం గారి శిష్యుడిగా రాష్ట్ర కాంగ్రెస్ కి అధ్యక్షులుగా కూడా పనిచేశారు. ఒకసారి కాదు 2 సార్లు రాష్ట్ర కాంగ్రెస్ కమిటీ అధ్యక్షుడిగా పనిచేసి వారి అధ్యక్ష సారథ్యంలో 2 సార్లు కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీని అధికారంలోకి తీసుకొని రావడానికి పెద్ద ఎత్తున కృషి చేశారు. వారు మంత్రిగా అనేక సంస్కరణలు కూడా ప్రభుత్వంలో తీసుకొచ్చినటువంటి గొప్ప నాయకుడు. వారి మరణం తీరని లోటు. వారికి ఆత్మశాంతి చేకూరాలని, వారి కుటుంబ సభ్యులకి ప్రగాఢమైనటువంటి సానుభూతిని కాంగ్రెస్ పార్టీ పక్షాన రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వం తరఫున కూడా ప్రత్యేకంగా తెలియజేస్తా ఉన్నాం.
NCP SP President Sharad Pawar on Saturday said the reference to emergency made by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla in his speech was not APT and did not suit the stature of his post. Addressing reporters here, Pawar also said the SOPs announced in the budget presented by his estranged nephew and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar on Friday was just an effort ahead of the state assembly polls to project that they are doing something massive. Soon after his election as Lok Sabha Speaker, Om Birla on Wednesday set off a firestorm by reading out a resolution condemning the imposition of emergency as an attack on the constitution by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Referring to it, Pawar said the Speaker's reference to the emergency in his address did not suit the stature of the post. It has been 50 years since the emergency. Indira Gandhi is no longer alive. So why is the Speaker bringing up this issue now? He asked. On Rahul Gandhi taking the leader of opposition's post, Pawar said the party with the most number of MPs in the opposition gets to decide the leader of opposition. Pawar hit out at the BJP, saying that before making statements on Congress Mukt Bharat, the BJP should take note of how many seats it had before the Lok Sabha polls and how many it has after this election. Former Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren on Saturday slammed the BJP for allegedly hatching a conspiracy against him and claimed that the Saffron Party will be wiped out from the state after the assembly elections due later this year. Addressing JMM workers at his residence, Soren said there would be a revolt against those who plotted the conspiracy to confine him in jail and people of Jharkhand would not spare the BJP. Time has come to put the last nail in BJP's coffin. In coming days, the BJP will be wiped out from Jharkhand, the JMM executive president said. Soren was released on Friday from the Birsa Munda jail after the state high court granted bail to him in a money laundering case, observing that he was prima facie not guilty and there was no likelihood of the petitioner committing an offence on bail. The JMM leader was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on 31 January in connection with its investigation into the money laundering case linked to the illegal possession of 8.36 acres of land. Soren alleged that the BJP has controlled all constitutional establishments but people taught them a lesson in the recently concluded Lok Sabha elections. Soren claimed that the pace of Jharkhand's progress was deliberately slowed down in the last 5 months as the BJP was afraid of the popularity of the JMM-led alliance which had taken welfare measures for T-Awan BILS, poor people and the downtrodden.
सच्चाई को आप किसी भी सीमेंट, किसी भी शिक्षा, किसी भी चीजों से दफ नहीं कर सकते। वो आज लेकर उभर के आता और आज इसका परिणाम है कि फिर से आज आपके बीच में आप लोगों के लिए आपका नेतृत्व देने के लिए खुशी और दुख का समावेश है। फिर भी इस चुनाव के माध्यम से इस राज्य के गरीब युवा लोगों को, यहाँ के मूलवासी आदिवासियों को ताकत मिली है और अब बहुत जल्द विधानसभाओं के चुनाव भी होंगे और मुझे तो पता चल रहा है, जो मुझे जानकारी आ रही है, कि हमारे चुनाव नियमित समय से पहले कराने की तैयारी कर रहे हैं। मैं तो इनको चुनाव भी देता हूं।
Days after the Kallakurichi Hooch tragedy in the state that claimed over 60 lives, the Tamil Nadu government on Saturday amended a Prohibition Act to substantially enhance the punishment, which included life imprisonment for bootleggers in case of fatalities following consumption of spurious liquor. The state government amended the Tamil Nadu Prohibition Act, 1937 to enhance the punishment term and quantum of fine for offences like manufacture, possession and selling of illicit liquor that endangers lives. The Tamil Nadu Prohibition Amendment Act, 2024, which shall come into force on such date as notified by the government, aims to completely eradicate the menace of illicit liquor from the state. The amendment substantially enhances the term of imprisonment and quantum of fine for various offences under sections 4, 5, 6, 7 and 11 of the Act. Accordingly, a maximum punishment of 10 years rigorous imprisonment and a penalty of up to 5 lakh rupees has been proposed in the amendment. In case of death due to consumption of illicit liquor, then the punishment for bootleggers will be rigorous imprisonment for life with a fine not less than 10 lakh rupees, it said. The new schedule for NEET-PG will be announced by the National Board of Examinations within the next 2 days, Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said on Saturday. NEET-PG is among the exams cancelled last week as a preemptive measure amid a ragging row over alleged irregularities in competitive tests. The date of National Eligibility cum Entrance Test, postgraduate will be announced by the NBE in 1 or 2 days, Pradhan told reporters in Panchkula on the sidelines of Haryana BJP's extended state executive meeting. The comments by Pradhan come a day after the National Testing Agency announced revised dates for 3 exams which were cancelled. The University Grants Commission National Eligibility Test, which was cancelled a day after being conducted on 18 June after the Education Ministry received inputs that the integrity of the exam was compromised, will now be conducted from 21 August to 4 September. Pradhan had said the question paper was leaked on Darknet and circulated on Telegram app. The matter is being probed by the CBI. Thank you for watching Swatantra TV English Bulletin. For a complete and comprehensive English news bulletin, please do watch Swatantra TV. This is Mahima, signing off for the day. Keep watching Swatantra TV.